I think what drives each one of us is an unbridled passion for what we do.
Right.
Okay, for us, it's like, it's using the tools and tackles at our behest. So
Right.
whether it's data sciences, whether it's business consulting, whether it's data engineering or platform engineering.
Right.
So we go all out to solve a problem.
Right.
So you have to have a problem solving disposition, प्लस हिंदी में कहूँगा आप में एक पागलपन होना चाहिए.
Right.
एक जो आप कर रहे हैं उसके प्रति अगर पागलपन नहीं है
Right.
तो फिर प्रॉब्लम है. तो स्टार्टअप का जो जेनेसिस होता है, जेनेसिस इज पागलपन.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
And let me tell you this. I mean, typically at startup, works. Focuses on one idea. And unlike a startup, I would say we are a bunch of young upstarts because we don't dabble in just one idea.
Right.
We are even at any point of time we are working on 5 ideas.
Okay, guys. Firstly, हम तो ये करते रहते हैं every month. We do something called as Founders Fund Network. The idea is we call one founder from a company. It need not be a founder always. It can be some VIP of a person, very important person in that company. We call and then we try and learn from their journeys as to how did they build what they are building right now. What challenges have you gone through? Sometimes, we also ask sometimes, did you ever cry while facing challenges? Was it so bad? Did you face a bankruptcy kind of a situation also and not knowing how to go about and proceed? And a lot of things which is normally not discussed there are a lot of podcasts that we see and try and learn. I am a very, avid follower of few startup founders. Like I try and understand what their journey is. So that is the context here. But before I dive right into you, Siddharth, I would like to welcome the entire team of Thoucentric Labs. Thoucentric or Thoucentric? How do you pronounce it?
THOU, the Shakespearean thou.
Okay.
Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery. That thou.
Yes. So, then friends, Romans and countrymen, I would like to please request you to please lend us your ears. I know you have very sophisticated team because I know that you have data scientists. I know that you have very, developers. हमारे टीम में ऐसा इतना deep नहीं है. I mean, we have marketing team, sales team, tech team, admin, accounts, HR. हम लोग इतना ही बात करते हैं. I mean,
perfect.
And you are into the commodity space, so we will dive into that in a little bit. But again, thank you so much for coming. I know few names, Ananya and Shaurya. At some point I connected with them. I think we pass around here. I was just telling him that we have this, that we do this every month once, right? So we kind of look for whom should we call also. And that personality, some personalities are eye-catching, right? You cannot just miss them. The way they walk, the way they talk, they go around. You are yaar, inse baat karna chahiye kind. So here we are, Sid, as you are, known.
Yeah.
I will give you a little bit context of what we are. We started our rice export journey in 2016. I was just one person along with my colleague called Karthik. I started it out of my home. At that time we didn't know ki kya karna hai and all. Once we are about 3-4 years into this business, and I used to continuously keep reading about Swiggy, Ola, Uber, Zomato, all these stories. I felt ki yaar, this export is a very old business. Matlab trading is a very old business. Kuch to naya karna chahiye, kuch to different karna chahiye. So that is where I landed upon saying that, okay, let's make it a marketplace. Let's call our story to be digitizing the rice trade ecosystem. Let's bring millers, exporters, importers online. So right now we are very, specifically focused on cross-border trade. So we look at markets like Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, and we export rice. Now, some questions that we have in forward with us is that if I'm on LinkedIn and if I'm a rice miller and if I'm trying to find a rice exporter, can I find a rice exporter on LinkedIn? Might not be. Or if I'm a rice exporter and I want to find rice millers on LinkedIn. I cannot find. Then we said, okay, this looks like an opportunity. Why don't we be the first people to actually try and attempt this? So, but we at that moment, I mean, at that time, I didn't have money at all. So, app build karna to was impossible. Then we started something on WhatsApp, and that WhatsApp, then gradually we felt like let's put a bot onto the WhatsApp. Anybody who sends a hi message, then there's a set of questions it asks, and then it takes through the customer to what they want. So today what we have is we have about 30,000 people in the rice business who type in hi to this number, and they are able to see rice prices instantly.
Right.
And we charge subscription to them, right? And then we are trying to see, okay, can we build a platform to get these people online? For us, it becomes very important to understand how big the market is, the total addressable market, right? The TAM for this is about 80,000 crores. India exports about 80,000 crore worth of rice every year. And if we build it for India, then we can plug the same model in Vietnam, Philippines, Cambodia, Thailand, Myanmar, etc. So that's what we are looking at. So even today, we really don't want to look this rice as a commodity, because once we look at it as a commodity, then it becomes very competitive. And then what we have understood from the Indian context is that we have at least 85 varieties of rice we have identified, which is commonly traded, which we have displayed at the end of the table there, so that we can have a look later. So this is our story so far, Sid. Now, coming back to the most important person in this room. So whatever we could learn about you was from your LinkedIn page.
Okay.
And I actually didn't ask anybody about you kuch khufiya information hai to de do kind, but let's hear it.
My life's an open book. कुछ भी खुफिया नहीं. जो दिखता है वही है, वो बिकता है वही.
Right. Once Sid had mentioned that the culture is very open in the office, right? The language is very open, but you're also what do you call? Matlab.
Yeah. So for those who occupy that corner, they may. I mean, I think they are privy to the kind of language.
Yeah, and I think you know it, because that conference room there, we can hear what you speak, and I think. And I think probably you guys can also hear what we speak. I don't know.
So your language is far more decent. That's all I can say.
Right.
So,
So tell us about your childhood, Sid. I know you're a Bengali. So what was it like?
Okay.
In the business context mostly.
See, I come from, like most of you, I come from a small town. So, and my values are also small town. Okay. I mean, then metro only happened like it happened to you, it happened to me. Okay.
Right.
I grew up in a place called Bhilai. How many of you have heard of Bhilai, the steel city? Chhattisgarh. Yes, it's in Chhattisgarh. So it's also a steel city. India's largest steel plant. You know, okay, good. Some people know Bhilai. तुम लोगों को भिलाई पता है कहाँ है भिलाई? अब पता है. Okay, so that's where I grew up, and it's a steel city where while growing up, we didn't have much of options in terms of education, right? So if your father is working in the steel plant, you have to be an engineer, or if your mother is a doctor, you have to be a doctor. Okay, so if you don't become a doctor, you become a mareez. If you don't become an engineer, you become a mazdoor. So we lived in, till when I was growing up,
Nice.
we lived in these binaries.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how life in Bhilai was. So having said that, Bhilai has changed a lot. All the development, all the progress has hit Bhilai as well. Now it has malls. Bhilai of all places has malls. Okay, it has a cinema thicks. Have you heard of the term cinema thicks in Bangalore? No. It has you hear of what do you call them?
Multiplex.
Multiplexes. In Bhilai we have cinema thicks.
What is
Which
that?
is cinema thick? We have movie theaters, but we have a disco.
Okay.
In the same annexure.
Okay.
And you have eateries, your watering holes, and all in the same annexure. It's
Okay.
called cinema thick.
Okay.
Like
okay.
disco thick,
Okay,
cinema
okay,
thick.
okay.
Okay. Yeah. So Bhilai was in retrospect was a great place to grow up in, and and a lot of my predecessors went to IIT, so I had to go to IIT. And but I mean, if I had the choice, I would have studied something else. I would have studied, possibly I would have studied comparative literature.
Right.
Comparative philosophy, comparative religion, you name it. Not as a major, but definitely as an add-on, which I did. I mean, and from Bhilai I went to IIT Kanpur, studied chemical engineering, And while I was studying chemical engineering in IITs, I don't know about other engineering colleges, but we have to take humanities courses,
Okay.
right? Humanities and social sciences courses. So it's mandatory. If you fail, you fail. Simple as that. So I studied philosophy, psychology, then religion. All सारी भड़ास पूरी कर ली वहाँ जाके. पास है, ठीक है. So and post engineering, I worked for engineering companies. Then decided that engineering doesn't pay much. It didn't pay in those days. So the MBA was a passport to paradise. So
Right.
I also joined the bandwagon, went to a B school, was selected by FMS, did my MBA, and was chosen by an IT company. I didn't choose an IT company. An IT company chose me.
Right.
Then analytics happened. What I do happened.
Right.
Accidentally. It had happened accidentally.
Right.
But even so, I had the knack for data science. Even when I was as a student, I used to teach others
Right.
aspects of data science as it
Right.
used to be in those days.
Right.
And that happened. And first company, I sold airline software.
Okay.
Then the company decided to branch off into a BPO where they offered airline, revenue accounting
Right.
and cargo revenue accounting as a service.
Right.
So
Which
this-
year was this?
This was 2019.
Okay.
This was 2000, 2002. Between
Okay.
the 2000, 2002, yeah.
Okay.
So the term BPO was still new in the country, was still gaining grounds.
Right. Some of us were born in 2000.
I know. I tell my team, when I left college, some of you were in your nappies. And for some, your parents hadn't met.
Okay.
Okay, so, and these guys, all you see, they are Gen Xers, all the back rows.
Gen Zs.
And some of the front rowers also, they're Gen Zs. Okay, so, so the guys, it was India in 70s. If you're, I'm a 70s kid. If you grew up in 70s and 80s, it was a different India. The world, the unipolar world of Doordarshan.
Right.
दूरदर्शन, your day began with दूरदर्शन. शाम दूरदर्शन शुरू होती थी, खत्म भी दूरदर्शन से होती थी. Then they have चित्रहार, चित्रमाला, all interwoven. Then came हम लोग. But so I've seen it all, and it was charming. It was I would say, in retrospect, it was a charming India.
Right.
Ambassador cars, Fiats, Premier Padminis, Fiats. Then then there this then 84 there was a disruption in the form of Maruti
800.
Not 800 भी नहीं बोलते थे उसको, it was
Maruti.
Maruti. ठीक है, so it caught our attention.
Right.
और in Delhi, if you're in Delhi, वो मारुति बड़ी चंगी गड्डी है जी. तो मतलब ये
Right.
निश्चय ऐसी बोलते हैं ना मारुति.
Right.
So and then I've seen that, and then I've seen the country's transition from licensed quota Raj from Indira Gandhi's era to all the way to India that we live in currently.
Right.
Believe me guys, some of you have grown into a 512 Mbps, but it wasn't always so.
Right.
Okay, I got internet
Right.
only when I was doing my MBA. I got exposed to internet at around that time. Okay.
Right.
And it still used to be the old-fashioned way of going to the library.
Right.
In Delhi, you have British Council Gallery, you have American Library, library. So we used to go and with our membership cards, read references, come back informed.
So you did your MBA soon as your
No.
graduation?
I worked for about 4 years as
4 years, okay.
as a design engineer.
Okay.
Design engineer, designing chemical processes.
Okay.
So, and that's been my journey. Analytics happened to me. As by luck.
Right.
And ever since, I've been doing just that.
Did
And
you
I've-
do your MBA on your own money, or you had to
Very
ask
good,
from
very good
parents?
question. I didn't tax my parents. I didn't. If you go to IIMs, I am reject, by the way. Okay. So I'm proud to say that I am reject, and I would have had to avail of a education loan, but in FMS, what I earned in my 4 years of work, I didn't have to tax my parents.
Okay.
So I funded my own MBA.
Okay.
And believe you me, if some of you are want a taste of a business school, then FMS is still a most value for money school, right, Shweta? It's the most value for money school, even now, even cheaper than IMT, IMI, isn't it?
But
Shweta is from IMI.
is MBA relevant even today? I mean,
It is relevant in the sense that it equips you with jargon. It gives you
I think the thinking,
thinking, jargon.
Yeah.
Jargon and thinking are interrelated. They're
Right.
not different from each other.
Right.
So yes, I think it always helps. But you need to go to I would say, I mean, if you're aspiring for a business school, aspire for a premium tier business school in India.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, and I mean, I leave it to you to decide which is premium tier. I'm sure
Right.
you guys are informed. So it does help, and it gives you. Today we have, we have what you call offshoots of MBA. There are offshoots like MBA in data sciences. I never knew what the hell kind of MBA is MBA data sciences, man.
Right.
So aren't there those kind of offshoots now? So MBA is MBA. MBA is when you're supposed to study marketing, finance,
Right.
human resources, or behavior, plus other things, right? Plus IT aspects of IT and stuff, right?
Right.
But now we have, we have creativity is like this emanating time to MBA AI, MBA Chat GPT. ये भी आने वाला है मेरे ख्याल से.
Right. Right.
ठीक है.
So,
yeah.
Very interesting. So, one of my professor once told me, ये जो engineering करके MBA करते हैं ना, ये लोग पागल होते हैं kind, and it's like, I had my own thoughts on this. Like, for example, because I am also an engineer and I was doing an MBA, अगर engineering company चलाना है, so you have to know engineering and then MBA skills also, right? I mean, how can you tell somebody, did you face something like that, यार engineer, I mean, normally IIT में IIMs होता है.
So even though I'm an MBA, at heart I'm a techie. I always will be, okay?
Right.
So, but that doesn't matter. I mean, to be a techie, you don't really have to have an engineering degree, believe you me.
Right.
I've seen guys who have degrees in arts, in fine arts, economics, for instance, and their transition to data sciences and allied disciplines is phenomenal.
Right.
Okay, so all you need to have is basically some quant orientation and love for numbers,
Right.
creativity. So it's to be a techie.
Right.
A degree in engineering helps, but it's not a necessity. So to your question on I also heard this bad engineers become MBAs.
MBAs.
And I would say to an extent it is true. You can hide behind your MBA degree.
And पापू का प्रायश्चित वहाँ कहाँ किया जाता है? Meaning you didn't study well in say engineering, and तो चलो और एक shot ले लेते हैं MBA में, थोड़ा ध्यान से पढ़ते हैं kind,
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता. Typically ऐसा नहीं होता. So MBA is mostly, there are ways to ace MBA courses. The courses जो वो हर चीज़ का एक method होता है. And it's about breaking the system. I think, everyone breaks the system once in a while. In IIT, we say that getting an A grade is like beating the system, and every IITian does it once in a while, at least once in a while.
Okay.
So there's a method to break things.
Okay.
System break करना आना चाहिए आपको बस.
Okay. And अब तक के सफर में until here, right? Let's not before we go into your days at I think Dell, and the bigger companies where you got, and then you also came into a setup where like a Thoucentric, right? Coming into that story. So until then, did you face major roadblocks or major challenges? And
Challenges.
How you came across?
Challenges come, in different shapes and forms. They come, every now and then. Even now, we are facing a gigantic challenge in the form of, dealing with one of our channel partners.
Okay.
So my friend here is flying to Mumbai tonight.
Okay.
To douse that problem. So they come in. They always. Challenges come in myriad shapes and forms when you least expect them.
Okay.
So that's forgiven actually. So as managers, as engineers or as techies, whoever, we have to manage.
Right.
We have to be able to manage crisis. We have to be able to manage, situations.
Right.
They come in. They're just waiting around the corner.
Right. And tell us, how did your Thoucentric story started?
Exactly. The Thoucentric story for me began in 2015.
Right.
So I'm one of the founding team members. So
Right.
for me, it began in 2015 of all places at Unilever's office lobby in Whitefield.
Right. Okay.
Prestige Shantiniketan. So I was deputed there from IBM to work on an assignment along with the chief analytics officer of Unilever.
Right.
And then one fine day, I hear somebody shout out, "Hey, Siddharta Roy!" I turned around. It's my batchmate from B school who I hadn't spoken to for 15 years.
Okay.
Nilakshi.
Okay.
So Nilakshi is the original founder of the company, Thoucentric.
Okay.
And she says, "तू यहाँ क्या कर रहा है?
Right.
तू क्या कर रही है यहाँ पर?" And so that 2015 we began this. That time Thoucentric was only about 4-member company.
Okay.
And 2017 our paths crossed again. Because Nilakshi just tried to prospect for analytics work at Unilever and other places,
Right.
and she heard my name.
Okay.
Okay, so much so that she had to get me onboarded.
Okay.
Okay, so and that happened. That onboarding happened in 2017 of November. And
Then you became 5 founders.
So for 5, no, there were the more founders that had come in, some founders had also left. That always happens.
Correct.
This churn always
Yes.
happens.
Yes.
And initially it was just one man,
Right.
followed by, I wish that guy was here today, Kumar Apurva. Kumar Apurva was someone I lifted and shifted from IBM, planted him here before I could join. Okay. So initially it was just the two of us doing all the hunting, cutting, cooking, serving, and cleaning as well.
Right.
But then now we have that what began as a two-man show became a 70 man, 100 man. Today it's the lab itself is about 25 and digital services 70. So we already are almost 100 member team.
Right.
And the Thoucentric itself has grown. When I came in, my employee tag was 70.
Okay.
Today the employee tag has crossed 840, right? 900 plus. 1,000 people have at least come and gone and had the not or some stayed, of course. People like me, people like Nishcha, the stayed, and so we have had about 1,000 plus people who walked the hello portals of Thoucentric, so to speak.
Right.
And 70, so today it's 500, around, we are hitting 500,
Right.
still growing. And even in these dismal times, we are still looking for talented people.
Right.
So that's something, and at the end of the day, whether you're a tech company or a consulting or whatever, you would have seen Thoucentric website and Thoucentric Labs website.
Right.
So Thoucentric Labs is a subsidiary of Thoucentric Technology.
Right.
Thoucentric Technology is a boutique, I would say, boutique management consulting firm.
Right.
And we are a tech subsidiary. Likewise, we have such subsidiaries in UK,
Right.
in Singapore, in Australia,
Right.
and in US. So we have registered entities in all these countries. Plus, we just opened an office in Netherlands.
Right.
Okay. So and a lot of these guys are vying for Netherlands. I know who they are.
Right.
See that lady who's smiling, my friend who's smiling, she wants to go to Netherlands.
Right.
So
Right.
okay.
So-
So this is how it began. This is how it began. Today we are a thriving company, and of course we are being, and we have had 6 years of straight profit giving years. We book profit almost every year. This year, thanks to the leftovers of pandemic, which I think we are also facing the music. I'm sure others are as well.
Right.
But despite that, we are not let go of people. We don't want to let go of people. There will be no layoffs in our company. And all these guys who you see, they have grown up here. So, and this is one company which puts a lot of trust on youngsters.
Right.
Okay, so typically a product company, we are a product company. So product company has to have seasoned people, typically, who are very highly priced, and they come with lots of bells and whistles, mostly tantrums, equal to tantrums, of course. So we didn't have to go through all this because all these guys are mature beyond their years. And each one of these guys have picked up an area they want to master. Which they did. God bless their souls. And today, they are thought leaders in their own right. Each one of them. Okay, including my friend who's sitting in the front. She's our engagement lead.
Right.
She runs 2 practices sitting here. It doesn't appear that she runs 2 practices, but she runs 2 practices.
Right.
And she happens to be from the Thoucentric technology side.
Right.
And she runs the digital practice along with a colleague of mine.
Right.
And so all of these people have had.
Right.
People have grown here. They learned the ropes of the trade.
Right.
And if some of these guys choose to have careers outside of Thoucentrics in some time,
Right.
we'll hug them and let them go.
Right.
So that's how it is.
For me, it's been very interesting so far that to hear from the boss as to how appreciative are you about your team. I think that's a very good trait, right? I think in today's day, while we deal with our own professional journey and the ups and downs of it, each one of us are also going through our personal that we have to deal with, and still having courage and coming to work and showing up to work and still delivering is by itself a big thing. And getting appreciation from a boss, I think, is a very good thing. I don't know. So with this session, I think the team of Thoucentric would be lucky that if you could get something from Sid which you have never known before or never asked before. So if you have a question like that, please we can ask him right now. Otherwise, if you have made it sound like it was all good. Tell us something that we don't know, like the challenges in the initial days of Thoucentric. And I want to very specifically you to address the young and the team which joins a startup, right?
Right.
What is it for them, and and why should they put their sweat into the company? उनके क्या हो सकता है, उनका life कैसे बदल सकता है,
So I'll address this part first. I think what drives each one of us is an unbridled passion for what we do.
Right.
Okay. For us, it's like it's using the tools and tackles at our behest.
Right.
So whether it's data sciences, whether it's whether it's business consulting, whether it's data engineering or platform engineering.
Right.
So we go all out to solve a problem.
Right.
So you have to have a problem solving disposition, plus हिंदी में कहूँगा आप में एक पागलपन होना चाहिए.
Right.
एक जो आप कर रहे हैं उसके प्रति अगर पागलपन नहीं है
Right.
तो फिर प्रॉब्लम है. तो स्टार्टअप का जो जेनेसिस होता है, जेनेसिस इज पागलपन.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
And let me tell you this. I mean, typically at startup, works. Focuses on one idea. And unlike a startup, I would say we are a bunch of young upstarts because we don't dabble in just one idea.
Right.
Even at any point of time, we are working on 5 ideas.
Right.
Okay. Someone like Nishchay, there's Vidit, the product manager. He's managing 3 products. More than what he's paid for. Okay. He gets paid to be a product manager of our product called Thousands, which is a demand forecasting platform. Okay, but he's taken he's taken it upon himself to manage our commodity price forecasting platform as well as our business scenario planning optimization platform.
Right.
He's doing that because there's passion.
Right.
ये पैशन तो अगर आप में पैशन नहीं है तो फिर मुश्किल है, फिर आप स्टार्टअप भूल जाओ. और डू नॉट एक्सपेक्ट एन इंस्टेंट ग्रेटिफिकेशन. इंस्टेंट karma doesn't happen in startups. So you have to trust the startup or the founders enough to be able to kind of sacrifice now and enjoy, and what you call not enjoy but enjoy later. Okay, enjoy later. So to that end we have ESOPs. So if you ask me, are startups the best paymasters? Some of the what you call grossly funded startups are, and they are now facing the music, by the way.
Yes.
So we have data science guys, mid-level data scientists who come to us, whose resumes come to us because the startups are on a
Right.
shutter लगने वाला है वहाँ पर.
Right.
And the salary expectations, general expectations are they overshoot the roof.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Come on man, तुमने किया क्या ऐसा जो what have you achieved in life? क्या expectation है? तो वो सुनोगे तो we don't entertain those.
Right.
So I'd rather if you ask me, I'd rather value attitude and youth and inexperience.
Right.
Over attitude and attitude and baggage and experience. Sorry,
Right.
baggage and experience. I value attitude and inexperience more,
Right.
and that has been the magic for us.
Right.
Pick them up. When they are young, train them, give them the best of exposures, best of engagement, customer engagements. Make them a part of the process. When I say process, the problem solving process.
Right.
They feel empowered, and the kind of exposure our data science interns are having, I'm sure their counterparts in other companies are not having those. No one gives a shit about them.
Right.
ठीक है? उनको बोलता कोई
Can you little bit break what data science is for us?
good.
At Thoucentric.
I'd rather get one of the youngsters here to talk about data science. Ananya, come over.
So I'll just introduce myself first. I'm Ananya. I work as a data scientist at Thoucentric Labs. And to tell you about what data science is, it's just compiling science with data and technologies. So if you have a lot of data, you want to draw inferences from it, you want to draw insights from it, what does that data mean? And is there something that you can use that data for in order to draw more from it? So if I have a lot of data, I have history for it, can I use that data and say that the price of, let's say, some commodity is going to be so much? Now this obviously has to be backed by some knowledge of data as well as some knowledge of science related to it. When I talk about science, it is both mathematically as well as what we call as modeling perspectives. So again, maths comes into picture, data comes into picture, we are combining both of them, segregating inferences, drawing everything when it comes to one point, that is called data science. And I think that's a very broader sense of putting it.
Plus computer science, which you're a CSE person, right?
Yeah,
Say that.
plus programming.
Algorithms.
Yes.
Does it mean that the data has to come to you in a particular format or particular way?
Data comes in all kinds of formats.
Right.
Creepy crawlies, good data, bad data. all kinds of data we get.
Okay.
But our job is to, derive, like she says, we have to derive inference from the data. See, I mean, if you as an enterprise would have collected data, right? So, I mean, tons and tons of data. If that data is not mined, I mean, if you mine the data, there are chances that you'll find a nugget that will change the nature of your business. Okay, banks are flush with data. All businesses are flush with data, but why do they engage people like us? Because they want something more out of out of their experiences. Can I use some combination of experiences as suggested by data to better how I reach out to customers? How do I get up close and personal to customers? If you are a company, let's say you're a company running let's say car rentals, for examples, okay. And you have customers who tap into different cars, kind of cars. There are customers who who kind of use different kinds. I mean, let's say some use Amex, some then they reside in Michigan or California, and then some. I mean, and they look out for a particular kind of class, and then they interline between. Then let's say they change cars every 100 kilometers. All of this. So what is their and then there are other customers. So will you as a company reach out? I mean, with a one hand, one glove fitting all hands kind of approach, or will you reach out to your customers differentially? I think, I mean, you have to reach out to your customers differentially. Wahi par jadoo, that's where the magic is.
Yes.
A customer who's used to kind of chicken shit experiences for the lack of a better term. He won't be happy if you offer him, send him a mailer with a Mercedes rental at these prices, obviously, right? Something like that. So to differentiate between your customer pools, between the pools of customer, you need to be able to kind of have ways to discern them first. Only when you discern, then can you deal with them in a different fashion, in a way more customized fashion, a contextual and customized fashion, and therein lies the magic. I'll give you an example. This is something that I was discussing with Nishchay and my friend over here, Shweta. So there's a gaming company. There used to be a gaming company called Hara Entertainment.
Okay.
In Vegas. Have you anyone of you been to Vegas? Las Vegas, Macau? What are these places famous for?
Casinos, yeah.
Bingo, dekho. Aa gaya. So casinos, okay. Now another question for you. Do you think this is again, do you think these movie studios make their money only from movies? Where do they make their money from? Merchandise. What nonsense. Merchandise merchandise is only just, it's just paraphernalia, nothing else. They make their money from gambling. What if I tell you they make their money from gaming? All the gambling dens, the biggest of the gambling dens are owned by MGM Grand, Colombia. Okay. I haven't been to Las Vegas, but I have been to Macau. And the casinos are owned by all the studios, Hollywood studios. Okay, so there was this company called Hara Entertainment. They hired a Harvard Business School economics prof, Gary Loveman, as a CEO. Okay, so this was this company was going under. And what Gary Loveman did, first thing he did was he fired the entire sales team. Okay, and then he kind of set processes for kind of managing the customer data, building what he called he set an analytics framework for the data that was already collected that was never used. Okay, and the sales guys were drawing fat salaries, and nothing was coming in return. ROIs were kind of negatives. So he made it a point for the managers to do test and control. If you have an idea, you have to test it out. You have a hypothesis, you have to test it out. How do you test it out? Look at data, study data, analyze data, build models on the data. If you don't do that, then it would be a cause for termination. That was Gary Loveman. And within no time, less than 2 years, Gary Loveman turned around Hara Entertainment, and I think it got acquired by MGM Grand. 3 years. A profitable company. Okay. So what was the magic? The magic was discerning customers and discerning their experiences with the company. Okay, a customer X who comes from, let's say, some downtown Las Vegas versus someone who flies in from, let's say, from Beverly Hills, they have to be treated differentially, whether you like it or not.
But at those points, how was the data collected in a casino?
So data is collected. He also put together a framework of collecting the data. See, it's not that no data is collected. If you're betting, if you're something where if you're going and buying all these coins, even if you're using a slot machine, your name, your income, your passport number, everything they collect everything. Casinos collect everything.
Right.
Okay, it's business for them, life and death for them.
Right.
So they collect every bit of data. More data was collected. I mean, I'm sure surveys were also run.
Right.
So and once they had data, they did what they were. I mean, they would have either engaged one of the biggies like IBM, Accenture, or they did it themselves. I don't know. But Hera Entertainment turned around, and that's the beauty of data sciences. It tells you things that you don't even know. Sometimes you get insights which are counterintuitive. It's like saying that a butterfly is flapping its wings in an Amazonian rainforest, and it's this thing raining in this, rain falling only on this building. That's spurious, but sometimes it's true. Sometimes spurious relationships are also true.
In a startup context, what should we do with? I mean, is it that only for a particular scale of company? In our own small way,
Yeah.
A company like us, for example, right? What could be the first approach that we could take?
To do it, you mean to go the analytics?
Yeah, to take the data and
so I
simple
think
analysis.
so you have. I'm sure you do. At least you collect some data, right, in Excel sheets or whatever, right? Okay. So Excel. So we could possibly help you with it. I mean, very informally. So if your frame of reference is one customer, then a customer has to have a customer ID. That customer ID becomes a primary key. Okay. The same customer ID is linked to a whole lot of other things. I mean, there's a master. There must be some customer master, right? So the master. Then there are transactional files. Your transactional files are I would say would be a bhandar of knowledge. Curated well. Pay attention to it. I mean, if, maybe some of the younger lot here can train themselves in basic Excel. If not in basic Excel, Excel is not just meant for data entry. There are 10,000 things, and I think it's the most thriving platform. We are a platform company, but it's the most thriving platform out there. MS Excel. Imagine what all has been accomplished in Excel, and there's still a lot to be accomplished in MS Excel. So use MS Excel really well. Draw correlations. Correlations is essentially how X and Y, when they have been two sets of data, how are they moving hand in hand or in different direction. So and correlation is a number that varies from -1 to +1. So stronger, so more towards 1, then that means X and Y occur together. So these are some basic checks you could definitely do. Plus the data always will tell a story. Even if it's a crap story, it will tell a story. So you have to love your data, you have to love numbers, and it should be a part of your daily hygiene. आज कितना बेचा, at least you ask these questions, right? आज कितना बेचा, कल कितना बेचने वाले हैं, अगले हफ्ते टारगेट तो आप सेट करते हो, राइट? वो नंबर है, मतलब वो नंबर है. कितने दफे आपने टारगेट मीट किया, कितने दफे आपने टारगेट से आप वंचित रह गए आप. All of these things.
Like rice prices, there are 85 varieties of rice. We have been tracking its prices from last 2 years.
Yeah.
And every day wise hai. So 365 days ka prices into 2 years. So and then we see that there's a pattern, and that's a very simple way of, I think,
right,
just to see, okay, which months did the
exactly
price go high.
So I mean, an analysis begins with something as innocuous as that. How has it trended over a year? Last 6 months kya tha, abhi kya ja raha hai? वहीं से it begins like that. So yes, I mean, if you're doing all that, then you're on the, I would say, the stage is right for you.
Right. So quickly, Sid, going back to the two questions. One was, what is it for the team which is working in a startup? वो अपना sweat क्यों डाले, and what could it mean for them? How big this could become in return to them?
Yeah.
So, and the first part of the question was, tell us something about the not so good days. If you came across.
Yeah, not so good days happen. There are cash flow issues. There always are cash flow problems. There are times, when I'm talking about that time the Thoucentric Labs didn't exist. There were times that we have had to, as the management team members, we didn't take any salaries, but we ensured that we paid others. Others are paid. Because we know that families run on salaries.
Right.
So that happen. Cash flow problems. I mean, if you run a business, you're bound to hit cash flow problems. There's no business which hasn't faced this.
Right.
So, and if you're running a startup, then you'll face a cash drain situation. I mean, if you talk about us, we are also on the negative. So currently, the target is not to be a very positive on margins, but to curtail cash flow, cash bleed.
Right.
Okay, margin burn. I mean, I've burned margins, but I cannot burn beyond this. That's my target, and I have to do everything possible to get that going. So a business is always managed by the dashboard guys, which possibly you guys are not exposed to. But Dhanraj, I'm sure he spends sleepless nights on these things. क्या हो कल salary आपको कहाँ से देगा वो? क्या करेगा, ये नहीं है तो क्या करना है. फिर आप लोगों को मतलब he has to keep you guys, he has to keep you guys in well-rounded offices like these. अच्छा, आपके आइडल्स भी बहुत अच्छे हैं, मैं देख रहा हूँ यहाँ पे. वॉल स्ट्रीट एकदम. ठीक है. So are you a fan of this guy?
Yes, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Or fan of that film?
Film and the Leonardo DiCaprio.
कौन सी फिल्म थी निश्चय ये?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. हाँ, Wolf of Wall Street, yes, exactly. So
उसको देखते ही पैसा दिखता है मुझे.
बिल्कुल. So देखिए, so he has the, I mean, so see, you are driven by a dream, right?
Right.
To make money, to do something.
Right.
But has that, has that permeated down to the youngest member of the team?
Right.
That's very important. So you have to take them in your, I mean, basically, ये vision और mission में आपको उनको अपने साथ लेके चलना है. Make them feel that they're part of a bigger movement, okay?
Right.
And it's difficult. And guys, it's a fallacy that startups pay the top dollar salaries. That is bullshit. Some startups did, and they are today.
Right.
Sorry to use a rude word, but that's how it is.
Right.
Okay. So it's for us, we don't pay top dollar salaries, but we pay decent salaries. We pay competitive salaries. Okay.
Right.
And I mean, and for the best, for the best performers, for the guys who we absolutely cannot do without.
Right.
We also have programs such as ESOPs.
Right.
ESOPs and ESOPs today, they know what हमारे ESOP का value क्या है. They know it.
Okay.
Right. So knowing about the company's financials is definitely your business.
Yes. And Thoucentric is not a listed company, correct?
We are not listed. No, not yet.
Then they know the price.
They know the EPS. Everyone knows the EPS.
Okay.
Current EPS keeps on moving. Keeps on
Correct.
shifting
Correct.
quarter on quarter.
Correct.
And if tomorrow transaction happens, if the companies they're bidders for the company,
Correct.
then obviously they'll make more money than that baseline EPS.
Correct. Okay.
They know it.
Okay.
So these are the ways and means, and plus the quality of work.
Correct.
The quality of work is something that the kind of quality of work we provide, or the content in the work we provide,
Right.
I can tell you not many companies do.
Right.
Not Accenture, not IBM.
Right.
I've been at IBM.
Right.
I mean, I was a very senior practice leader.
Right.
So they have been, and much more than that, they are allowed to make mistakes and fail.
Right.
The what you call tolerance for failure is quite high, so long as that failure is not repeated.
Right.
ठीक है?
Right. So this brings me to the question as to what is your management style, Sid? Meaning, you have performance to drive, but then you also know that you are dealing with a mix of interns and experienced team members. Like for example, I'll just share some of the things of our office. Like we cautiously don't use the word salary and employees in our company. Because I feel that salary and employee could, versus instead of salary, we use the word payouts. And in terms of, employee, we use the word team members. So I just wanted to feel all of them as a team member so that, like how you said ESOPs and things like that, right? So that if you perform, you have a very big piece of the cake that is waiting for you. And in our own way, like for example, it happens that the business might not be doing really great, or the industry might not be doing really great, or we have not been able to do that great. But you know that if there is a team member who is like spent 1.5 year, like he or she would definitely want some growth, right? I mean, and that growth has to be good enough that they keeps their mind stimulated to the next level.
Yeah.
So we replaced employee with team member and salary with payout. So and we introduced some period leaves we introduced recently, which is normally, I mean, the regular policies are still there. So whenever you get frustrated, right, how do you take out your frustration on the team or?
So I don't have a copybook style per se. So what you see is what you get, guys. Do I have a hidden agenda? Do I show to you that? Do I display that I have a hidden agenda? Any point? No. So I was telling Shweta the other day. Some people think of me as very nice, affable. Some people think of me as a bastard. So believe them all. Believe all of them.
Right.
Because I mean, I come as a package.
Right.
And I change myself. I change my approach basis the situation.
Right.
So ठीक है. For some employees you are a bastard. ठीक है. You are a bastard.
Right.
For some people you are a demigod. Okay, you are a demigod.
Right.
So you have to take it all. So so it's for my style. As far as my style is concerned, it's very open.
Right.
So good news or bad news, they get to hear both. They get to hear in. I mean, we are very equipoised. Of course, we are humans. We also show our emotions. They are allowed to show their emotions.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So and it's very. I try to keep it open, no hidden agenda.
Right, right. It's a very good point because in one of our last program also, Resha Mandi is a company that we were speaking to. Mayank Tiwari is the CEO. So he also said that founders are not what you call great people who came directly from the top, right? They are also humans and they have their life, their emotions that come out, right? And you cannot think that you're the strong. He or she is always the strongest and can face it all, right? Your founder can also break down. Right, or your founders also goes through a lot of mixed emotions.
True, and I show some of those. I mean, almost all. I mean, they know my.
Right.
They've seen it all.
Right.
A very happy Sid, a very morose Sid, somber Sid, frustrated Sid. They've seen it all. Nothing is hidden from them. I don't believe in hiding.
Right.
Why the hell should I hide?
Right.
I mean, so we are humans. I mean, let's celebrate our humanity here. What the hell?
Right.
And as regards, you said, you're very sensitive to use to the term salary and employees. We don't call ourselves resources. If people use the word resource,
Okay.
If business development team do you have a resource? This is what I go. This is what I tell them. No one is a resource.
Right.
They're human beings. They're intelligent people at work.
Right.
If you treat them like resources.
So what's the the word for it? The replacement for it?
We said, I just call them
what's the other word for it?
Teams. Team members is a good word, right. And I call people out by their names. I mean, such and such. So it's not that big a company that you have to call people, a group of people as employees or all things. So names.
Right.
It's just the names.
Right.
So no collective reference.
Right.
I mean, I try my best to refrain.
Right.
If at all I do use a word, I say team.
Right.
The labs team.
Right.
Or these things. Okay. Nishcha from labs team. Shweta from digital team.
Right.
Okay. So like that.
Right.
So,
and so coming back to the next question. So a lot of people who are into data, core engineering role and stuff, generally is seen as not good at communicating or say not good marketers for themselves, right? But you look like you are both data and you speak almost everything is what we got to hear right now. So is there something that came to you since your childhood?
No, I have no, it's not that. It's not that. See, if you, and when I tell these guys, my personality type, and how many of you are familiar with MBTI? You are familiar with MBTI? Kind of, okay. Myers-Briggs, क्या बोलते हैं उसको श्वेता? Myers-Briggs test indicate. Myers-Briggs profile, I think these are profiles. 4-5 profiles. So my profile is INTJ, which is a hardcore introvert. Okay, teacher and
you're
introvert.
A hardcore introvert?
I may be at heart, at my core, I may be an introvert, but being an introvert, I won't be able to run a business or manage a team.
Right.
Okay, so you have to put on layers, but ensure that they're coming from the core, that same core.
Okay.
I don't know how else to call it. So MBTI. So when there was a time when we were hiring, we used to make everyone go through MBTI, right? But we have stopped that practice, is it?
Personality trait test.
INTJ, INTP, E. The people with E are the ones who are extroverted, right? So we profiling karte the. So see, that's my hardcore introvert. So left to me, I'd rather not be disturbed. My professor said this about me: if you leave this guy on Moon or Mars, he'll be very happy. Okay, but then one has to make a living. One has to be, adapt. One has to adapt. So it's adaptability. And
this is something similar I faced in our team. Like we have a marketing team. So team बढ़ते गया and one day I happened to sit and talk to them. And हर कोई बोल रहा है मुझे कि I am an introvert, I am an introvert, I am an introvert, I am an introvert. And I was like, marketing team में आप लोग अपने आप को introvert बोल रहे हो तो market करेगा कौन? And then it took me some time to kind of digest this and understand that, like they say, is that silence is also a response, and they say a lot of people who are introverts have the strongest minds, right? Mind में चलता रहता है उनका जो करना है, जो कैसे launch करना है, etc. So I think at some point then I came to terms with this. Ki, I can't do this, I am an introvert. Arey fir marketing team mein kya kar rahe ho? I mean, so that was what I kind of landed at. But I think like now the whole almost an hour, like what you spoke, right?
So techies, coming to your point on techies not being good communicators, it's not always true. Some of the best communicators are the techies. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So I'll take
Apple and all
take
this.
Nandan Nilekani.
Right,
Nandan Nilekani, or Narayan Murthy for that matter. Narayan Murthy doesn't have an MBA.
right.
Most of the time he talks crap, but he talks. He's a techie who talks, who engages, engages media. Nandan Nilekani used to do a very good job of engaging media. Steve Jobs used to rehearse his investor sessions, right? He was, I mean, there's so much so there books come out on how to present like Steve Jobs.
Right.
So his presentations used to be shows.
Right.
ठीक है?
Right.
And Steve Jobs in real life was very dismissive of people, dismissive of this and that. But this investor conferences is something that he took very seriously.
Right.
And he I mean, and Steve Jobs, there was a time when Steve Jobs was equal to Apple, and Apple is equal to Steve Jobs.
Right. So you and your team,
Yes.
right? Does it happen that in your personal life also you take decision based on data, or is it only in your professional life, or how?
Okay, so I rely on both. In my personal life, I rely more on my native intelligence, NI, some bit of AI.
Okay.
Because you see, dealing with data gives you an instinct.
Right.
It gives you an instinct about how things could be. Okay, so NI plus AI both, but same goes for our job as well. See, Ananya told you that we at the end of all the churn that you do, all the analysis, modeling, etc. that you do, you get a nugget, that nugget of information, right? A nugget which can alter the course of a business, but that nugget has to be conveyed in what you call what's the term? It has to be conveyed the way it has to be conveyed. It should hit the nail on the head, right? Unambiguously. Okay. So which essentially means that you have to be creative. You also have to be have that level of creativity that you can take a leap of faith on your analysis or inference and present a bigger picture. Has any one of you seen a McKenzie presentation ever? McKenzie or EY? McKenzie.
No.
If not, I would encourage you to check out McKenzie presentation. See, the way you will see that single slide is, there's an analysis presented with charts and all that. With R square, they'll mention R square for effect and all. You will see some callouts, and then you will see an inference. But the top line would be a statement which would take a leap of faith on the analysis. Basis all this is likely to happen, and these statements are often very enterprising. So what is McKenzie trying to do? McKenzie is trying to capture the attention of decision makers. Elevator. You've heard of this term called elevator pitch, right?
Yes.
So elevator. It takes only maybe a minute or two. If you were to convey an idea or proposal to a CEO or CXO or a decision maker, how would you go about it? So there's a method to this.
Right.
So framework, that it's called pyramid principle.
Right.
So we need to be able to glean stories from data, from analysis on your data, and that story should mean something to the end consumer. So not only are we are data jocks, we are analytics jocks, but we are also raconteurs.
Right.
All of us, each one of us here.
You also do go through emotional days and
Oh, yes.
breakdown. Did you ever cry during the initial times of Thoucentric, where too much on your head, not knowing?
Cry, I've shouted at people. I've shouted, and
You made others cry.
Most of the shouting used to happen with Nilakshi, my best friend. Okay, the original founder.
Right.
Oh, you see, when we fight, it's like it's like cats fighting.
Right.
Cats fighting, and then but at the same time, there's that
We have also people in our
intrinsic.
office.
That's love is intrinsic. I know she has my back, and she knows I have her back.
Okay.
So वो हमेशा रहेगा. लेकिन so we are fighting for at the end of the day, if fight brings two parties together, then it's a good fight to have.
Correct.
So I don't shy away from a fight.
Correct.
Okay. And cry, no, I've not shed tears really, except when कब रोए थे हम लोग यार? So we did cry when we lost some of people to pandemic.
Okay.
So yes, and there was one employee who, while suffering herself, lost her husband to COVID.
Okay.
She herself couldn't attend his funeral. There was a child. There was a less than a year old child to be managed.
Okay.
The father also died. Father also passed away.
Okay.
So that was terrible, and of course that was very emotional. So pandemic.
Okay.
I mean, we had these moments. I'm sure all of you had these moments in pandemic,
Yes.
in the pandemic time.
Yes.
So it's okay to be human here. Even if you cry, shed tears, so what? Nothing to be ashamed of.
Right.
So, but to the extent possible, I mean, I try not to cry, but that's just me.
Right. So for me, like they say, the idea and the business of plans, execution, it's not clear from day one, right? It only gets clearer as you keep working on it, right?
Right.
So for me, as an entrepreneur, what happens is, I am the most frustrated when I'm not able to see the path. When I'm able to see the path, even if we are struggling to execute it, I'm fine. Like, we'll figure it out. But like when we started this off and we said that we have to do tech, everybody said blockchain karo, blockchain karo, blockchain karo. But in practicality, I knew that ye millers and exporters, importers ko app use karana he itself is a big thing, right?
Right.
So that time I was not clear at all as to how this will grow, which path to take. Today we are at much better shape in terms of clarity of what we want to chase, right? And I ask every team member, I tell them, if you don't know what you're chasing for this month, right, then you are in a bad shape, right? You don't know what you're chasing, right? If you're sales, you're chasing sales. If you're into marketing, then you have some KPIs that you are chasing, right? So great insights, Sid. I would, if any of you would have any questions to ask Sid, I would like to open it.
Not you guys.
You were marketer, right? Like you did marketing and all.
Okay, so see, I did more courses in marketing, rather quantitative marketing. Quant marketing, mathematics. See, there's marketing and then there's quantitative marketing. So all the brand management and stuff that you do, consumer behavior, these are essentially they're quantitative sciences, though it's not taught that way. Okay, so see, my interest has always been on the quant side, even if it's on the marketing side. Okay, yes.
So you love data. Like
I love data. I mean, I used to teach people the tools and tackles of analysis, analytics in those days.
that's why you entered into tech, right?
I mean, it happened to me as an MBA. I mean, I think I would have been happy to get a any role in a white goods company. By the way, Shweta, I wanted to join Whirlpool. Does the company still exist?
You're talking about Whirlpool?
I wanted to because I was impressed by the way they presented them. They came and presented. Okay, and Unilever, but I knew Unilever is the most in the CPG, FMCG. The Unilever is the most wide firm. But I knew मेरा number वैसे नहीं है ना तो कुछ है. I'm not fit for Unilever, so I applied for this thing. But then IT happened to me accidentally. It accidentally, and then so it's been I would say a very a journey steeped in serendipity. Is how I would.
What would you be fine doing when you're not working? What are your hobbies? Like, do you play a sport? Or?
I like to run.
Okay.
I run. I'm a long distance runner.
Okay.
Plus, I read a lot.
Okay.
I mean, subjects don't matter.
Okay.
I read a lot.
Okay. Do freshers or interns come who would have just started their first job or something?
Yeah.
Do they come to you a lot? Or ये नहीं हो रहा है, वो नहीं हो रहा है, or how?
Earlier they used to. when Nishchay joined, that batch used to, but then that was the last of it. So now these guys manage. Nowadays Nishchay, not even Nishchay. Nishchay has a batch junior to him.
Right.
They manage the youngsters. But if at all there's something to be managed, I do step in.
Right.
But it's a well managed, well oiled unit.
Right.
So, but I mean, they can walk up to me, walk into my room anytime.
Right.
It's even if they want to abuse me, go ahead, abuse me. If you want to share a joke, a dirty joke, good joke, share it. No, absolutely no roke talk. Aaja.
Right.
Okay.
So are there times when you and your core team members don't agree on
many times.
specific, and how do you take it?
I would say every time. Core team members, as in the management, the original, the founders and all that. As I said, we fight like cats and dogs. But then at the end of it, we love each other. And we have each other's backs. We are supportive of each other totally. Okay? But the fight is mostly with regard to how would you approach a matter or thing. Okay, something like that. I may not be clued into Nilakshi's, ideas about hiring, building a team. And by the way, if I was, the way the company used to run before I came in, or this team came into being, was very different. So as with this practice in place, it's run in a very different fashion, and not everyone can. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Believe you me, running a data science entity.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, and keeping the unit together. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So yes, somebody has to do the job.
So the team also has the liberty to fight back with you and healthy arguments.
Anytime, every time, every time,
Right.
and not just on work issues, other 10,000 other issues too.
Okay. And you said it's not easy to keep a team together. What is there a few things that you do which you make sure you do?
See, lots of things have been written about these, but I believe, so long as you have a style which is true to you. I'm not putting on airs out there, right? I'm just being myself. When I talk to them, I'm as vulnerable as them, and I'm as strong or weak as they are. And please, this is a data sciences, consulting, etc. All of these are essentially people businesses here, and you have to be able to love your people, but also kick their asses sometimes. Okay, so that hasn't happened. That happens, but not a lot. Okay, so it's only so each one of them is an individual in their own right. They're intelligent. The way they prepare for customer engagements. And this, on that point of techies not being good communicators, each one of them is a good communicator, is an excellent communicator. If in Nishchay, if tomorrow there's an important customer conversation coming up and I'm not able to attend, I'll trust Nishchay with my life. I'll trust Vidit with my life. Or Shweta. I know they'll handle it. Okay. Initially I had to be there for anything and everything.
Right.
But I've now that's gone.
Right.
And I'll make myself redundant enough, and one day Nishchay, Shweta, these are the guys who will run the business. I'll say goodbye someday, hopefully very soon.
Right.
No,
I
guys,
think
don't
there's
worry, it's not happening.
I think there's something called as next to kin. I think Chaitra, she's our people head. She joined in recently. So she was just telling us there's always something called as next to kin, right? In your absence, who's going to take things forward, or you are not in office, the decorum of the office, or the
next of kin is usually used in insurance parlance. If you pop off, who's the next of kin, right? So next of, there are many. There are lots of next of kin. Say if I'm not able to, even if it's an important customer presentation, okay, if I'm not able to make it because of a family emergency or whatever, and it has happened. I've had family emergencies, so I can trust these guys with my life. They'll do a great job, and they always do. So as I said, give people the autonomy, give people, don't be overbearing. You've hired them, you hired them. If you hired them just on fanciful reasons, then something is wrong with you. But these guys came in with their claim to fame, and they've got an opportunity to build themselves thereafter.
Right.
And so it's, it may sound very corny, but I take these things for granted.
Right.
At this stage, I take these things for granted. I know they'll do a good job.
Right.
Okay.
That's
so that's just trust. That's a trust, and trust has to be worked for.
Right.
It's not implicit, guys.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, the way I do this is because I don't take, I take the decision first and then make sure it's right. Like a lot of times, because WeWork is also very expensive, right?
Oh yes, tell us about it.
So a lot of office space, I feel यार ये जो office था इसके ऊपर मेरा नजर पहले दिन से था. But I would never have the guts to even go and ask what's the price, right? And then we started slowly growing, and I started, let's take this, and then after taking this, then I said revise the targets, right? Our target is so and so. Then, right? It is instead of focusing on savings, why don't we better focus on earning more?
Exactly.
Right?
So that's a very good point actually. So you take a decision, then make sure that your decision is right. Ensure that justify your decision.
Right.
So I think that's a good thing. We should set the target first. बहुत ऊंचा target रखो. Then make sure that you achieve it by hook or by crook. Go through ethical means, of course.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
ठीक है.
I'm very very touched by this discussion, Sid. I didn't know this discussion can go. I mean, it was very candid. You told it as it is, right? And I really believe also the team, most of you also, I think kind of. I was able to connect on some points that you mentioned as to on the human side of the team members. You exactly knowing the pulse, I think I felt is very important. Like sometimes it so happens that I am also frustrated that something is not going, but you know the samne wala is almost breaking, right? Abhi ro degi ya ro dega, and then the performance also is important. The discussion is also important. Then you say, okay, chalo, let's take a break right now, and then we talk again, and then we try and see. So I think what I learned, the biggest learning that I've had with the team, managing the team, is that everybody has their own problems, and we have to come together and help each other. Just because you're the boss, don't boss around, right? True. Then I think nobody will just respect you, and so I think connecting was very very important. At the same time, what I try and do is that ki yaar chalo, let's all be great together, right? Let's all achieve these big things. यार उन्होंने किया, रेशम मंडी ने किया, या फ्लिपकार्ट ने किया, या कोई किया.
आप भी करोगे? आपके भी दिन आएंगे? लग रहा है it should be PWIP, or what do you call yourself? PWIP. PWIP.
PWIP also.
So it sounds like PIP, which is hated, which is something that people don't like. Performance improvement plan, right?
Yeah. So initially the expansion for PWIP was purchased from where it's produced, but then thoda hum usko polish karke we called it partner with indigenous producers.
Wow. Partner with indigenous producers.
Yeah.
Great. So guys, we do commodity. You work. Rice is a commodity. I mean, to us it's a commodity. For you, it's your bread and butter and jam and bacon as well. So we do commodity price forecasting, and we have achieved. I think the way what we've achieved in forecasting commodity price daily, weekly, monthly, is something that others haven't. And because we kind of boil the ocean in our quest for indicators that could describe a commodity. Okay. Right, from fuel prices to this and that, and I mean, we have models that churn anything and everything, and then give you the best set of drivers. So if rice production is down, one of the reasons or one of the drivers could be that that Suez Canal disaster, when the Suez Canal was blocked for some time, right? And but when that happened, a lot of indexes world over got screwed, which essentially means they absorbed the shock in the macro environment so much so that they could predict the state of rice business. Okay, so we do all of that, and it's a young team that does that, and yeah.
Right. So, sir, yes, guys, where is we have a small hamper that we want to give it to you.
Oh my God. Okay.
And we'll click a picture together.
Yes.